Hello, it's time for Combat Patrol Carnage. Hello, welcome back to Combat Patrol Carnage. It's time for us to start the last issue of Delivery 8, and it's issue 30. So yeah, we've hit the halfway point on our next 20 issues, and it is a paint issue. So not much to do this issue. We get 2 paints, but only use one of them. But still, it's going to add a lot of detail to some of our models that are still looking a little featureless. Namely our Eldari and some of the details on our Space Marines. So lore-wise though, we do look at the Harlequins, the Roma Chaos, and we start looking at Chaos Space Marines. We have a brand new mission to play with Archaeotech Recovery before we look at some more rules of the core rules. So yeah, looking forward to playing out the Archaeotech Recovery mission with the Eldari and Space Marine Combat Patrols. So this issue came with 2 paints. We got Mechanicus Standard Grey, which we're not using yet, so hopefully in the next couple of issues. And we've also got Agrax Earthshade, which we are using, and we're going to be recess shading all our Eldari, as well as shading down some of the details on our Space Marines. But before we hit the table, don't forget to do all the usual. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and drop me a comment down below. Love hearing back from you guys, and it goes a massive way to help the channel. As you know, I've recently got a high quality webcam, so I'm going to hopefully be able to start streaming from my desk very soon. So I'll be doing some maybe hangout and hobby sort of things, and catch up on some of these special issues. So I've still got Traitorous left to build and paint. So yeah, really looking forward to doing that, guy. Finally then, Combat Patrol Carnage is proudly sponsored by warbay.shop, your one-stop supply for all your hobby needs. They stock everything you need from new and used models for your various different armies and game systems, to all your hobby supplies and your gaming equipment as well. They also stock Combat Patrol and other past partworks from Hachette, and have recently opened their own store. So if you want to, go check them out. There's a link for warbay.shop, check them out, and you might find your next hobby project at a bit of a discount. Alright, let's head to the table and we'll paint up our models, and we might even touch on the reading as we've only got 3 pages to go through. So here we are with issue 30, and we've got our 2 new paints. So Mechanicus Standard Grey, which we're not using at the moment, but it is a nice grey. We'll probably be using this on rocks. And when we come to our first Chaos model, some of his lackeys are covered in grey robes, so we'll be using it there. But the one paint we're going to be using today is Agrax Earthshade, otherwise known as Liquid Gold. Between this and Nuln Oil, both of those paints will make your models pretty good looking. They really add a lot of detail with just a nice all-over shade, but we're going to be using it in 2 ways. We're going to all over shade on certain areas and relayer, and then we're going to recess shade other parts. So let's take a look at the magazine and find out what goes where. So into our magazine, our full contents for the issue. So we have a paint guide, which is just called Update Your Models. We then learn about the Harlequins, the Roma Chaos and Chaos Space Marines. And then we have play articles with a brand new mission called Archaeotech Recovery, and we cover the movement phase in great detail. So, how to paint updates to your models. Follow this guide to add detail to the models in your existing collection using your new paints and some of the paints you received in previous issues. As you receive more paints of your Combat Patrol collection, you will continue to return to these models to add further details. So, we're using Agrax Earthshade, and we're shading the parchment of all of our models. We're also shading the book on the chaplain, the cape on the Space Marine captain inside and out, helmets on our Terminator Sergeant and Infernus Sergeant, the red cables on our librarian, the gems on the Crux Terminatus on our captain, the grips on our librarian and chaplain's weapons, the bolt gun casings on the chaplain's bike, as well as his helm and the skull on the librarian's chest there. Then after that, we're relayering all the parchment and the inside of the captain's cape with Rackar flesh. The outside of his cape is relayed with Mephiston red. And the skull helm and little skull on our librarian here are relayered with Wraithbone. And that's our finished models. It's surprised we're not relayering the helmets on our sergeants. Perhaps we're just going to go straight to a brighter colour. We'll find out in a future issue, I'm sure. But yeah, our models are starting to look really good. We get Reichland Flesh Shade in a couple of issues' time, so we'll be adding some flesh detail to our models, which will be quite nice. Then on our Eldari, we're going to be doing a lot of recess shading. So, recess shade all the red armour on our Guardians, on our jet bikes, recess shade the red on our Farseer, all over shade the inside of the cloak with Agrax Earthshade, and relayer with Wraithbone. And then we have our finished gallery of updated models. So don't forget to do your weapon platform and your Wraith Lord as well, which is what we'll be painting in just a sec. So I'll bring in my paint desk and models and we'll get on and paint them. So I've got the paints we need on my desk. We've got Rackar Flesh and Mephiston Red, and we've got our brand new Agrax Earthshade, which is where we're going to start. So we'll give this a good shake, just to make sure it's nicely mixed. And then we'll pick up our shade brush, a quick wake up wash, and then we can dip into our Agrax and get a nice puddle on our palette. So we'll start off by bringing in the captain's cape, and we'll simply apply an all over shade of Agrax to the inside and the out. And on the captain, we've got the parchment hanging down from his waist here, as well as the little bit going across this crux terminatus, and the parchment seal as well. Yes. And while we're waiting for that to dry on our captain, for our Wraith Lord, we're going to want our small layer brush. And we're going to start recess shading all of this. So we've got all these raised nubs. We've got the grooves in the armour. Now that our Agrax Earthshade is dried, our Wraith Lord is looking a whole lot more finished, so we can put him off to the side. And next, we need to relayer up our captain and his details. So we'll start with Rackar Flesh. This is just for the parchment and the inside of the cape. So we want to layer up all these raised folds, leaving the Agrax there in the recesses. On the parchment, again, we want to focus on those raised details, leaving the Agrax Earthshade there in the recesses. And with the Rackar flesh done, we can turn around and we can do the same on the back of the cape with Mephisto Red. So we want to try and follow these more prominent creases, leaving that Agrax in the recesses. And with our captain back together, there we have it, all of that recess detail shaded, and the softer top folds have been relayered. So there we go, nice, short and quick. So we can move on to our lore articles for this video, and then we can get on to a game in the second video for this issue. So I'll be right back. Right then, let's dive into our lore for issue 30. So past our paint guides, and we start off with a look at the Eldari sub-faction, the Harlequins. As the troops of the Harlequins take their places, the show is about to begin. The performance opens to the thundering of engines that rise and fall like music as the hammer of gunfire beats out a rhythm. To the accompaniment of the screams of the enemy, the players of the Harlequins begin their life dance across the field, maintaining their flawless choreography until the final curtain falls. The Harlequins are a group of Eldari who live and fight in groups called masks. These are halfway between being a band of warriors and a band of performers. For the Harlequins blend stagecraft with violence to gain superiority over their enemies. Through dedication and practice under the lead players who command them, each Harlequin perfectly learns their role. For their costumes, they wear hollow suits that move and dance alongside their wearers. And for their props, they carry some of the most advanced and horrific weapons that have ever been developed by the Eldari. Each Harlequin is a devotee of Segarak, the Laughing God. He is the trickster god of the Eldari, and the Harlequins take his lead, using performance and subterfuge to win the advantage over the enemy. As part of their religious devotion, Harlequins learn and perform the mythic cycles of the Eldari, keeping tradition and story alive, while keeping their performance and acrobatic skills sharp. The Black Library. The Black Library is a colossal craft world-like vessel that contains the ancient and secret knowledge of the Eldari. It is a structure so unfathomable that it can only exist within the alternate dimension of the webway. It is guarded by the Harlequins, who must keep the ancient relics and documents safe from harm and prevent their deadly secrets from falling into enemy hands. Unfathomable without fathom, as they say. The lethal art. The Harlequins bring their sense of theatrics and performance to the battlefield. As each perfectly costumed Harlequin player weaves across the stage of war, they unleash a well-practiced flurry of deadly acrobatics, feinting and fencing, with their swords and leaping to their marks to rain down deadly fire upon their foe. Now we have a look at the players. First up, the Shadowseers. Shadowseers are deadly psychic warriors who use illusion and misdirection to sow havoc in the enemy soldiers' minds, replacing their discipline and focus with madness. Death Jesters. Death Jesters are known for their sense of humour, and they delight in coming up with even more inventive ways to terrorise and kill the enemy on the battlefield. Solitaires. Solitaires are lone Harlequins who excel in weapon mastery and acrobatics. They do not belong to a troop and are little understood even by their kin. Easily one of my favourite dynamic pose sort of models. He's leaping over some fallen Eldar masonry, and he's only attached to it by the very thin part of his cloak there. Really nicely done model. And finally we have the troops. A troop is an elite unit of Harlequin fighters. They are led into battle by a troop master, and employ their shuriken pistols and sharp swords in their dance of death. Yeah, pretty cool. Fun fact, the troop master can now be built as a lead player, who is a new HQ choice for the Harlequins. So previously we only had these three as HQs. We now have the option of having a lead player lead your Harlequin detachment force. And yeah, I'm almost tempted to get the Harlequin Combat Patrol. That's in White Dwarf. It's quite nice. A lead player, Shadowseer, 3 units of troop, I think it is. A squad of jet bikes and one of the transport vehicles, I think. I'll have to double check. Yeah, it looks a nice, interesting little combat patrol. I think it's only 2 units of troop, but you need 3 because you need to build up the lead player, and each unit of troop has a troop master with them. Yeah, nice little combat patrol. Wouldn't mind getting that one. Moving on then, we have a look at the Realm of Chaos. The warp is a dimension of endless strangeness. Within its bounds exist many things, and some take the form of malevolent entities and demons. Of these, some in particular have caught the notice and imagination of the real space species, and reach out to spread their influence beyond the confines of the Immaterium. Amid the swirling currents of the Immaterium flow the emotions of the sentient species of real space. Their anger, their lust, their horror, and their desire for change. From these psychic energies have arisen powerful beings that are known as the Chaos Gods. They are strange entities that originate from the hopes, dreams, and nightmares of the species that dwell in real space. Often feared as demons, or even worshipped as gods by mortals, these ancient horrors look out jealously, seeing all of the galaxy that is not theirs, and desiring to spread their influence to everyone and everything that they can. To them, reality is but a plaything to be toyed with and fought over as part of their great game. Adeptus Sororitas warriors battle strange entities from the realm of chaos. Now we'd look at the individual chaos gods. First up, Khorne. Khorne is the blood god, and he embodies rage, violence, and aggression. He is depicted as a gigantic figure, clad in armor, wielding a huge sword and seated upon a throne of skulls. Tzeentch. Tzeentch is a god of change and manipulation. He is depicted as an ever-shifting figure, covered in faces that laugh, babble, and cry incessantly as they swirl about his form. Nurgle. Nurgle is the god of disease and pestilence, known by his adoring followers as Grandfather Nurgle. He is depicted as a grotesque mass of rotting flesh, covered in oozing buboes and open sores. Slaanesh. Slaanesh is a god of excess and decadence. Known as the Dark Prince, he is often depicted as an androgynous figure, garbed in finery, whose eyes can steal away the souls of any brave enough to look into them. So there we have it. Which god do you swear fealty to, if any? The God Emperor is the only answer. Moving on to our final article, we look at the Chaos Space Marines. The legions of Chaos spill forth from the warp to visit havoc upon the galaxy. Chaos Space Marines, Legacy of Betrayal. The Chaos Space Marines are furiously violent groups of former Space Marines who have been corrupted and twisted by the taint of chaos. They pursue their horrifying vendetta against the rest of the galaxy with pitiless brutality as they slaughter and destroy all those who dare to stand in their way. During the Horus Heresy, many of the formerly loyal Space Marines turned their backs on the Emperor. The powers of chaos are cunning, and each traitor was lured in different ways. Some, seeing the Emperor as a tyrant and oppressor, joined the rebellion in search of freedom and justice. Others were offered power and influence in exchange for abandoning their duty to the Imperium. When the war was over, the victorious loyalists began to purge the galaxy of the rebels. Feeling cheated of the promises of victory and dominance, the traitor forces fled in despair. Now they hide throughout the galaxy, emerging to visit vengeance on their former brothers who sided with the Emperor, and to finally claim the glory that ought to have been theirs so many years ago. Unfettered ambition. Many Chaos Space Marines are driven by personal ambition and a lust for power and control. They willingly sacrificed almost everything to please the Chaos powers in the hope of gaining favour and influence. The greatest warband leaders are widely known and feared for stopping at nothing to reach their goals, no matter how many bodies they need to step over to please their dark masters. Let the galaxy burn. Abaddon's Black Legion face the Ultramarines. Alliances of convenience. The Chaos Space Marine armies have twisted into new groups and alliances in the millennia since the Horus Heresy. Although some are descended directly from the original Space Marine legions, others have formed new warbands and serve new masters. Amid these formations are infernal allies, demons and engines from the warp that fight alongside the cursed brothers to spread the chaos out into the wider galaxy. So yeah, lovely chaos force there. Abaddon, of course, with his Black Legion Terminators there, Chaos Sorcerer, a Forge Fiend, a Warp Smith, Venom Crawler, Chosen, Dark Apostle, who we will be getting very soon, Possessed, and a Master of Possession to help those possessed become possessed. Yeah, really cool force there. And yeah, I've got majority of it. Missing Possessed, the Dark Apostle. Actually, no, I've got him, but he's in a box. And I'm missing the Terminators. Oh, there's a Master of Executions at the front there as well, which I missed. Which, again, is another one I'm missing. So yeah, really cool Chaos Force. And yeah, we'll be painting up these guys very soon. So that's it for this video. Up next then, we have a new mission and some new pages from the core rules. And we'll get to play that mission with our two new combat patrols, the Eldari, and our recently updated Space Marines. So there we have it. That was the first video for issue 30. And yeah, we've got ourselves a nice updated look to our models. The Agrax Earthshade really does look quite nice on this guy. I made a few spills and had to tidy up with some Mephiston Red, but otherwise he looks really good. And yeah, our captain here is looking pretty ferocious now with his new shaded and relayed cape, as well as all these other parchment details as well. Can't wait till we finally add the flesh on his face and the gold, which will be in a couple of issues' time. So that's it for this video. Let me know what you thought of it in the comment section down below. All that's left for me to do is to say thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time on more Combat Patrol Carnage. Goodbye.